Sup, and welcome to another Library Chess Productions movie review. And this time I'm going to be reviewing Deadpool 2, which is very hard for me because I don't like Deadpool. So here we are, I got my Deadpool hat, I got my Deadpool, let's do this. I'm going to start this off by saying that basically when it comes to certain characters, certain intellectual properties, I let my bias run wild like it's Hulkamania. So keep that in mind while you watch this video. Because while I do have a criticism or two, they're very tiny in the grand scheme of things, but I will mention them. I think the worst thing that I can say about this movie is that it's not as funny as the first one. But the thing is I don't really have a problem with, because while it may not be quite as funny as the first one, it makes up for it in other ways. Most notably, it has better characters like Cable and Domino. And of course, anyone who's a fan of Deadpool comics and whatnot knows that Cable and Deadpool team up in them. So Cable acts as a nice counterpart to the silliness and ridiculousness of Deadpool, because Cable is mostly serious. And then you got Domino, who is a really cool character in her own right, and she's like a badass chick. She got badass chick swag. And I can't believe I just said swag, but there you have it. So then when you have all these characters playing off of each other, and actually a couple nice surprises, in that way it's actually better than the first one, because the first one didn't have a very good villain. It was fine because Deadpool could kind of just make fun of him, but he was not intimidating at all. But here you have a legitimate problem for Deadpool. And another way in which it improves upon the original is that the action is actually better. And that comes a lot from who the director is this time around. He was a second unit director for quite some time, but then he's known for being a co-director of like John Wick, and then he directed, I think, Atomic Blonde and whatnot. So he has an action pedigree that he kind of lends to Deadpool and does make the action more thrilling. And the weirdest thing is that I actually felt a little bit of emotion during this, and that I did not expect. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's Deadpool, so there's a joke coming, but it does actually hit an emotional beat that was unexpected. So it kind of does what superhero sequels tend to do, is it takes a core concept and they make some money, and then they become bigger and more explosive and whatnot. And while Deadpool is obviously not to the level of certain other superhero movies in that regard, you know, it does lose a little bit of its comedy, but don't get me wrong, I think I said this earlier, I'm not sure, but it's still hilarious. It's still very, very funny throughout the whole thing. But it does focus a little more on action this time around, a little bit more on characters. And that's fine. I don't know if it's better or worse than the first Deadpool, because it really comes down to what you want from it. If you just want the pure comedy, then Deadpool 1's better. If you want something that has a little more action, better characters, a little more emotional depth, but kind of lacks a little bit in the comedy, then Deadpool 2's better. I'm a fanboy, I can't make that call. I think the musical choices were inspired. The first one was too, but I really like the musical choices in this one. And also, as kind of a general comment on Deadpool as a character, is that I kind of extend a courtesy to him that I don't with a lot of other characters, because he is a merc with a mouth, and part of his appeal is that he never shuts up. So even when he's saying stuff that isn't funny, I'm more forgiving of it than in other movies. Like take for example Guardians 2. I didn't find Drax funny most of the time in that one, and I didn't extend that courtesy because I just found it lame, and every joke that did hit just kind of hurt the movie a little bit. Whereas here, there are things that Deadpool says that just not funny, that are almost a little cringy, but that's kind of the appeal of the character. Like, he's annoying, and he's funny, and he's awesome, but he's kind of annoying. He's kind of like a troll in a sense, but a good troll, because he's amusing. And then the final thing I want to comment on is Ryan Reynolds. He won't win awards by any means, but to be honest, right now he is one of my favorite performances of the year, because every now and then you get an actor who, like, he's a good actor anyway. I've been on the Ryan Reynolds train for quite some time, even when he wasn't making really great movies. I've always thought there's a pretty talented actor. And a lot of actors can go through their whole careers putting in solid work after solid work, but don't get really well known for a specific character. But then there are some actors like Sylvester Stallone, who has done other roles, but is Rocky in most people's eyes, maybe Rambo. And Ryan Reynolds has kind of found that place where you couldn't imagine anyone else playing Deadpool. And I think when someone embraces a role that much, that's a really good performance for me. I mean, it helps that he's basically become Deadpool in his public persona anyway. and there's rabbit hair flying around the room. Boo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Tyler. You might be wondering, why is it zooming in on his face? Well, I actually forgot to give this movie a rating, so I have to go back and film a quick video to do something. I didn't want to do my whole setup because that's like 3 minutes out of my life, and I'm obviously too busy. So when you ask me what do I think of Deadpool 2, I'm quoting it on the daily. And why am I quoting it on the daily? Because it's quotable, and I love the movie. So as always, I'm going to turn it over to Castle, the best bunny critic in the biz. See ya. Hey, what'd you think of Deadpool? Oh, there's his butt. That seems kind of fitting for a Deadpool review, actually.